Let's take a look at the regions and see what your thoughts are. Let's see how this shakes out relative to where we were last year. Let's start with what you unanimously agreed was the hottest region, healthcare economy. So let's go trend by trend just for a second. We don't need to make any picks here right out of the gate, but let's just talk about a little table talk about what you see in these trends. So private equity investment, labor and workforce shortages, digital consolidation, cost-cutting strategies, increase in uninsured, underinsured patients, health equity and SDOH, reduced discretionary spending, provider consolidation, bankruptcies, and closures. As you look at those, maybe comment, Danny, maybe start us off. Comment on what stands out at you. What do you think this particular region has as its distinctive points?
The day-to-day impact that payers, providers are feeling associated with the economy right now. I mean, you look down this list and trends you always think long term. A majority of these things are impacting our day-to-day operations today. And so it's hard to think about, some of these other trends, some of these other regions because of these headwinds that are facing us and impacting us today. And I think that as I'm sitting here, that's what's really, this region is a huge just weight on all of our shoulders right now, and it's hard to kind of move it aside to think about some other things that could be impacting the industry as a total.
Still a lot of money sitting on the sidelines from the private equity standpoint. A lot can still be invested. However, valuations have dropped, and so I think we've seen a number of years where valuations for smaller companies that don't necessarily have an established track record kind of gone through the roof. And so I think that's coming back to reality, which is a really good thing to get to a point where your public markets can support some of your private valuations. But what that also causes is a little bit of less risk taking on behalf of private equity. So what you'll probably start to see there is going to be a refocus onto the investments already in a particular fund's portfolio, and less of interest of kind of hitting out and putting dollars against something new, something early stage. And so probably a lot more dollars consolidating around late stage assets that are actually more defined, more structure, EBITDA positive in those areas, and less on what is digital health and health innovation, which is, just taken off over the last decade.
Capital dollars are basically non-existent. So I think they actually may be looking for private equity to help them with that in ways that health systems may not have thought of before. But when you see governmental payers paying less and less, Medicare Advantage paying less and less, denials higher than they've ever been in the last 10 years that I've seen in a health system, it's going to be harder to collect the dollars that we're trying to collect. So our denial management, utilization review costs, all of those are going skyrocketing high just to collect what we should have collected. So when I see private equity, when I see digital consolidation, I think the areas that are going to be most critical for success are going to be the ones that can help in those areas. How do we automate that? How do we increase getting that back and not getting denied to begin with, I think is going to be key.
Although we lament labor and workforce shortages, in some ways we've created that by a lack of investment in our workforce for years, frankly. Most not-for-profit health systems, which deliver a lot of healthcare in this country, are just going to be out of tricks. I just think they're vulnerable now. They don't have expendable capital. They're behind in technology investments. They've not created really rewarding workplaces for many of their for their workers. They've continued to run the volume treadmill. And I just think that they just don't have a lot of options now. And so in that vacuum, you're going to see step private equity in a bigger way. In that vacuum, we're going to see non-traditional players enter the space. I think you're going to see digital transformation of pieces of high margin healthcare. And I think you're going to see winners and losers, and you're going to see the weak players in healthcare need to either exit, especially, and I think you're going to see a bunch of that happen in rural markets, or you're going to see some consolidation.